And one of the singles off the album, Illumination. What does this song mean to you?
A lot of the songs I wrote um, with ideas that come completely out of nowhere, and they start with like a small seed of an idea. And Illumination, I've had the intro to Illumination for the longest time, and I could never connect it to anything and make a full song out of it.
Right.
And if you think about it, the intro and the main part
Yeah.
of the song really are not related. And I tried so hard to make them belong in the same song because one pet peeve I have is when, especially in instrumental music, guys just tack one idea onto the other and there's no real flow, there's no real meaning. It's just like I got this idea, I got this idea,
Right.
kind of like the Beatles Abbey Road.
Yes.
It's like
That's a good.
I really hated that. It's like let's finish the idea and make a song out of it. Just don't put a bunch of scraps together.
Yes.
So with Illumination, the trick was to get the main theme to fit inside the intro. This might be getting a little bit technical, but if you
No.
listen again, the main theme, da 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 da, very simple theme. I kind of maneuvered it into the intro, which sort of made it flow, and it just was the key to the whole thing working.
Yes.
And I'm like, I did it. I did it. I finally was able to use this nice intro that I didn't know what to do with. It was a long journey. I think it worked. People responded to that song probably the most off the record. Yeah, loved it. It almost didn't happen because I could never get the right arrangement.
And they're fitting in well with the other songs from your back catalog.
Yeah, I think the whole record is like it's an elevated version of my entire catalog. Actually, this is going to sound weird, but I think it's so good that I kind of like my previous stuff less because I'm so pleased of this. It's just really weird when I think I've finally evolved to the point where I'm really I feel like I'm in the zone. It's really weird. I never felt this way before. I've always done the best I could. I've always been very satisfied with everything, and
Yes.
I still love everything that I released because at the time it was the best I could do. But I think now I have powers that I didn't have before. Happened with
You,
drama. Even with drama, um, now that we've been playing some of the songs live, I feel like they're better live than they even were on record. So
yes.
there's something in my DNA that's evolving. I don't know why it's deciding to evolve now. I'm not in my early 20s anymore. I don't know why I'm getting this growth spurt now, but I'm not complaining, and it's a happy thing.
Yeah, it's the whole evolution, but you keep reinventing it and just doing something different creatively. I love that. And you're always pushing the boundaries, Marty. That's what I like about your
Pushing.
style. So let's talk about Dreaming Japanese. The book came out last year. The book came out
Yep,
last year.
in December.
So tell us about that the whole process. When did you start thinking about doing this, and how did you do it? Did you have a dictaphone? Did you have okay, this the era that I want to talk about, or were you typing it away? Tell us about the whole process of this book.
Well, I knew someday I was going to write an autobiography, and I've always kind of had a manuscript going.
Right.
Probably started maybe at least 10 years ago, just having a very rough manuscript going because I knew the day would come. But that work paled in comparison to the actual work of getting started to do it for real. But it was a good starting point because it showed me what was important then, and it kind of reminded me of things. And once I started writing the real manuscript for it, um, I realized how glad that I was that I never really got into drugs or alcohol
Yes.
after my teens. When I was a teen, I was full on hell bent on getting wasted all the time. But as soon as I was 17, I was completely clean and straight up until now. So I'm very glad about that because my memory is just crystal clear.
Yes.
Every detail. It's not like, well, what happened back then? No, every single thing is retained clearly.
Yes.
So I was very happy about that. Writing the book, I made my main criteria to be things, personal things, private things that belong in an
Yes.
autobiography, not in an interview or not somewhere on the internet. So usually in interviews, you talk about the latest record or tour or things like that, but you don't talk about family and you don't talk about interband relationships or the people around your life. You don't talk about those things and sexual things. And so my criteria was everything that no one knows about me and my experience in every band, every family situation, every album, every tour. And I just went methodically one by one.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make me look good all the time. One thing I wanted to avoid, like when I see some people's autobiographies, sometimes it looks like a resume.
Yes.
I did this, I did that, and this was great. And I found that less interesting. I found it more interesting when people say the things that they regret or things where, I did this and it was really not a very nice thing to do. Coming clean on things, letting
Yes.
things out.
Was that hard for you?
At first, I'm like, why do I have to go this? My mom didn't want me to say all these things.
Oh,
She was like,
right.
there's no
Right.
people need to know this stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
like, a lot of people, especially guitar players, I have no idea why. And I love it. But fans who idolize us, they just put us up there really high.
Yes.
And I think in an autobiography, it's the time to be as human as you possibly can and say things that might embarrass the writer of the book, but it'll bring us closer to the fans so they don't think that we're
Yes.
necessarily this untouchable non-human hero, and hopefully bring a little bit more humanness to our relationship. But when I finished the book, I'm like, oh my God, so now people know all this embarrassing shit about me. And maybe I should have kept it quiet. But I think that's what makes it easy to read. And so far, the reviews and the response has been just beyond my wildest dreams. So, yeah,
You're human, Marty.
unfortunately, I'm human. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for better, for
everybody,
worse.
everybody makes mistakes, right? What you said before about you being sober. I mean, I was a big Megadeth fan. I still am a big Megadeth fan, and all I could read was in the magazines and what I saw on MTV and all that. So to actually have a deep dive and see what actually happened, and you were quoting things that I'd never, I was like, oh my god, that is okay, now I get why you did that. Okay, understand why you did that now. So yeah, the one thing that I took away from it was that what you said just then about you being completely sober and during the Megadeth era as well. That, I mean, temptations, Marty, like,
Oh God, I was not tempted by anything. Because, like in the book, I shared all about my teenage years where I was just the hardest partier. And I like lived three lifetimes by the time I was 17.
yes,
And so once I stopped everything, I could clearly see how drugs were just completely messing up people's lives. And it made losers out of really good people, people with talent, people with intelligence, and
yes,
people with potential, and not people who are evil, good people that just drugs fuck them up.
yes,
So there was no temptation at all,
yeah,
because I saw what happened, and I already had my fun. I escaped. I luckily escaped it,
yes,
but I saw what happened to these people. I'm like, no way. Most of my trouble happened just from too much of the, you know, messing with the ladies. You know what I mean? That was my
yes,
temptation
yes.
was there. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll without the drugs. And you can still get in a lot of trouble there too, believe me. But
Yes.
But yeah, so the drugs, I was not tempted in the least. It served me well. It's kept my brain really intact. And for the book, there was no like blurriness about things. And during the Megadeth years, I was completely sharp as a tack the whole time. I remember everything
That's
in great detail. So, and a lot of times I wasn't the guy in those days where the media would come to for really juicy stories.
right.
You know, I was the guy the media would come to with guitar stuff,
Yes, yes.
you know, guitar stuff, Japan stuff. Then the media would come to me, but like for the juicy details of interpersonal things, I was
Heavy
not the
days,
guy. So I have a whole
Overstand.
story that's never been told before, and now's the time.
And going back, like at the start as well, there was a quote about quaaludes and sex or something like that. And I was like,
Ah,
oh my God.
oh yes, oh yes. So I assume you understand the allure of that.
A good mix or something like that. Yeah.
I would be tempted to do that now, but
Let's go back like into your career, and I'm sure you've had these questions like 1,000 times, but for new fans, you grew up in Washington DC in the US, right? Yeah.
yeah,
So growing up, were your mother and father, were they in the entertainment industry? Were they musicians, or how did you start with that music?
not at all. I mean, my family, no one is musical.
Right.
They like music. They had albums, but no one played an instrument. No one was even remotely in the music business. They didn't know what to make of it, but they supported me for a long time, much longer than most parents do. I mean, as you see in the book, I was like 27 years old before I even made a dime from music.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like really friggin' old, man. So all of the struggles, usually like if you try music, you go maybe you're 22, 23, 25. My folks supported me even after that. So I couldn't pay them back anything till well after that.
Yes.
So I was very fortunate with that, but
They must have known that you had a gift and a talent to play guitar, right?
I think so, yeah. And I think they knew that probably I was going to do what I was going to do with or without their support. So I think they knew that their support was going to make my life a little bit easier because without that, I would have still done music, but I would have been couch surfing all the time and living with strange people I didn't know. I still did that anyway, as you see in the book, but
Yes.
I would have done a whole lot more of it. I'm not suited for anything else, and I wasn't back then either.
And it was amazing, interesting for me. Also, I didn't know any of the other bands that you tried out besides Megadeth. So, reading about that you tried out or you're going to try out for Madonna, um, you got a phone call to try out for Kiss. Is that true? Or is that just rumors?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's
And
true.
so, uh, what was your thoughts on that? I mean, I know you say a lot about that in the book, but what could have been if you joined Madonna, right?
Yeah, it was very close to happening. The Madonna audition was on a Friday, and the same week the Megadeth was audition was on a Tuesday.
Right.
So it would have been the other way around. Well, to be probably honest, I probably wasn't the best guy for the Madonna gig, so I wouldn't have got that. Probably what would have happened was if Madonna was on a Tuesday and Megadeth was on a Friday, I would have
Wow.
done Madonna. They would have said, okay, we'll think about it. And then I would have done Megadeth on Friday anyway. So I just thought about it that way just right now for the first time. But the lucky thing was I did Megadeth on a Tuesday and I didn't have to do Madonna, although I was prepared to do it. Um, and of course, I liked the music of Megadeth a million times more. And I was a Madonna fan. I love her music too. But Megadeth was right for me at the time, and it
So
was my
so
first step into the world.
did Dave Mustaine, did he listen to the first album? Was he like a huge fan of yours before you tried out?
I don't want to say he was a huge fan,
Okay.
but he heard the first album before I auditioned. He said he liked the guitar playing on that album. I think he is a more of a riff guy than a solo
Yes.
guy, and more
Yes.
of a song guy than an epic kind of guy. So I think he liked my guitar playing more than my riffs or songwriting, which I understand. Um, but they were looking for a lead guitar player, so that was perfect. Um, so yeah, he heard my Dragon's Kiss album before I auditioned.
Yes.
And when I auditioned, it was just right. Felt like I was playing with my high school buddies again.
Yeah, right. And looking back on that first album that you did, Dragon, looking back on it now, what do you think about that album?
Well, I think it was a great start. It was pretty rushed being put together. I was just starting with the band Cacophony, and the
Yes.
label said, "Why don't you do a solo album too?" And I had just already exhausted all of my material for Cacophony. So coming up with material really quickly and recording on a budget, a very tight budget, was quite stressful, but like I just wanted it so bad. I wanted to keep producing more better music. And there's some stuff on there I really, really love. I still play Dragon Mistress today. I
Awesome.
play I love the song Forbidden City. I think it stood
Still
the
stands.
test of time.
Yes.
And the rest of the album is also okay. It's a good start. Of course, I would do things different now, but at that time, it was absolutely the best I could do, and I was proud of it.
Speaking of those bands, Jason Becker, what does that name mean to you?
He's like my inspiration to get up in the morning. I mean, he is
Yes.
the ultimate human being, the ultimate artist, just the ultimate inspiration, just a positive influence on anyone who's lucky enough to cross his path, whether it be it through his music or actually meeting him. He just means the world to me. And in my book, I go into great detail
Yes.
of our relationship. But he's just a wonderful, wonderful person to exist in the world. He's just the best.
Reading about the tryout for Megadeth, I didn't know that Dimebag Darrell also tried out for lead guitar for Megadeth. I was just blown away to hear that. Did you see any of his sessions or?
No, and I probably didn't know that at the time, and I'm not sure I even knew who Pantera was at the time.
Oh yeah, right.
And I was just told that they auditioned like about 60 guys, and no, none of them were working out. After I was in the band, they started telling me about the guys they auditioned, and a lot of horror stories, people doing things that they shouldn't do at auditions,
Yes.
overplaying or hamming it up or acting all rock starish. And
As a strenuous audition process for you detailed it very a lot in the book how strenuous it was.
hey, I don't think it was that strenuous. I mean, what I was about to say is that thing about Megadeth is, myself included, we're kind of like the boys next door. None of us were like posturing rock stars. None of us had tattoos or wore like Jack Daniel's t-shirts or the whatever the Sunset Strip regalia was at the time. We were just like regular dudes that played our asses off.
Yes.
And so guys would come to the audition all decked out with mascara or whatever, or using their whammy bar and everything and just rock starring out. And luckily, that's not my personality, and it wasn't the personality of the rest of the band. So it just fit right in. We were just dudes who played. If
Yes.
you look at our photos, we're just wearing like regular clothes and stuff.
Yes. Yes.
And, it was that's very important and probably more important than the actual playing in a lot of situations. You have to fit in with the personalities.
And then